Annoying things tourists do in Spain that locals can't stand.
When was this video from?
Let's see.
If this was before?
4 months ago.
Oh,
So
okay. And kind of in topic with the whole anti-tourism movement in Spain.
it is interesting. Like some people in our comments have said, no, that's just some people. We don't believe that. You guys should still come to Spain. But it is very interesting that there's a group of people that really don't want tourists to come to Spain.
Based off what we've seen in like some of the funny videos we've reacted to Spain, you get some of those I'm sure stereotypical American tourists, but mostly it seems like the British,
The Brits.
the pub British people.
So I have a question. The people that don't want any tourists to come to Spain, are they never going on vacation? Because I feel like if you don't want to be a like super hypocrite and you're saying nobody should come to our country as a tourist, then you shouldn't be allowed to go to any country either.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's exactly how it is. Obviously, tourists can be annoying, but then that's kind of how it works. You're going to a new place.
Yeah.
You don't know anything.
It's interesting. Let us know your thoughts down below about that. And let's jump into this. Here we go.
Hola Spain lovers, Stuart here with another video, and as we know, Spain is one of the most visited countries in the world, but let's be honest, some of the tourists that visit this country make locals cringe. So if you're planning a trip to Spain, listen up, because today I'm going to talk about some of the things that tourists do that drive locals absolutely crazy. And you don't want to get the locals offside. Right. Now, before I begin, I just want to talk about the anti-tourism movement that has been on the rise here in Spain in recent years. Some locals, and I'll repeat that, some locals have been complaining that tourism is ruining their quality of life. Some of the main tourist hotspots here in Spain have been the focus point of these anti-tourism protests. So it is true that Spain's popularity as a tourist destination, with some 94 million people visiting the country last year,
multiples times the population of the country,
is not pleasing all of the locals here. So hopefully some of the things that I'm going to talk about in this video will help you guys enjoy your Spain experience, and it won't the locals off too much. Now, one of the most annoying things that some tourists do when they visit Spain is think that everybody speaks English in this country. And the fact of the matter is,
it's so interesting going into this. We're actually like travel vloggers. We travel around and we do vlogs in other countries. And when we go, we never expect people to speak English, but it's the only language we speak. So we try to speak to them in English. If they don't speak English, we don't have any expectation that we'll just try to communicate with our hands or whatever. But we get comments on our videos that are like, you guys shouldn't expect everyone to speak English in these countries. Learn a few phrases. If we walk up to a Chinese person and say ni hao, it's not going to get us very far.
The places we expect people to speak English would be like the airport.
Yeah.
Like the dang immigration person. Like if you went to the airport, an international hub, and the immigration person doesn't speak English, you're going to be like, I can't answer your question, sir.
Yeah.
But after that, it's like, okay, obviously in the tourist areas, it's a little more likely, but not expected. It's still locals.
And we do know that there are some people that get upset when they travel to a country and nobody speaks English, which is crazy. I don't know why they would expect that.
It is interesting, but
is that no, not everybody is fluent in the English language. It's a surprise, right? While many Spaniards have studied English at school, it is a compulsory subject in the Spanish school system, they might not have a very good level, and they might not feel confident speaking English. Therefore, you should make the effort to learn a little bit of basic Spanish. For example, basic greetings. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Hola, ¿qué tal? For example, and the most important 3 words in Spanish, por favor and gracias, please and thank you. So do the locals a favor and try to learn a little bit of the language before you come. That would be my advice. Now, another thing that will annoy the locals here, especially local shopkeepers, is touching fresh produce at the markets. If you go to one of the many produce markets in this country, don't pick up the fruit like it's yours and squeeze it to see if it's ripe. that is the responsibility of the person serving the fruit or veg. And also, and this is something that happened to me just last week, if you go into a supermarket and you look at all of the different types of cold meats, all of the chorizos, all of the salchichones, the hams and things like that, don't touch those either. I got told off for doing that last week. You have to wait until they offer you a sample product to try, and they quite often will.
So he said it was like the expectation of the vendor. So you're supposed to walk into the market with the expectation that
all the fruit's good.
Yeah.
And that you can trust the guy to not give you a little extra squishy fruit.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool if it is always a good fruit, because that makes it so much simpler. You just boom, done.
It can't be true though, right?
No.
I mean, maybe the vendor knows that if they don't give the person a good fruit, they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
But like, what if it was somebody that they knew wasn't going to come back, and they're like, "Oh, I got this crappy fruit. Here you go."
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to touch my fruit to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, what if it's like you got your fruit that's sitting here like this, and there's a big black spot on the bottom?
Yeah, and you don't know.
You don't know.
And he purposely picks it up like this and puts it in the bag.
If you're going to buy cheese or if you're going to buy ham, ask them to try the product.
I don't usually touch the cheese.
No, yeah, that's a weird one, touching the cheese.
First, don't just pick it up and look at it, because that will annoy the people behind the counter too. So keep that in mind.
Interesting.
Now, another thing that will annoy the locals here is not replying to basic greetings. Let's say you're walking down the street, you pass a local, they say, "Hola, buenos dias," you don't reply. That will annoy that person. So
that annoys me in the U.S. If you're just like a service worker and you're like, "Hey, how's it going?" They're like, just look away, and then, or I'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?" They'll be like, "Can I order blah, blah, blah?" Don't even acknowledge what you say.
They don't want to talk to you. They just want their McDonald's.
Try to reply back. Hola, buenos dias. Hola, buenos dias. Hola, buenas tardes. Hola, buenas tardes. And it's also important that when you walk into a shop or a business, regardless of the size, to greet the people working there. They'll often greet you, so greet them back, again, with a simple hola, buenos dias. And that way, you won't get the people working in those establishments offside. Now, another thing that annoys locals here, especially in some of the coastal areas, some of the coastal cities here in Spain, is tourists that are not dressed appropriately for the city they are in. Sometimes you'll see tourists walking around in bare feet with their shirts off, and the locals are walking around quite well dressed, and the tourists stick out like a sore thumb. And let's be honest, nobody...
Us? Would we stick out in our sports shirts and our athletic shorts?
Is it looked down upon if we wear shoes to the beach?
Probably. Who knows?
Wants to see an overweight, white, tattooed tourist walking around a Spanish city or town, right? So keep your clothes on, look around, see what the locals are wearing, and try to blend in.
Probably don't have their nice clothes.
Now, we all know that Spain has had a fairly up and down history as far as politics are concerned, also in recent times too, but locals here don't want to talk about these things with foreigners or tourists. Nobody's interested in your opinion on the Spanish Civil War.
This is very interesting because as Americans, literally every country we go to, we'll have someone that just mentions a president's name to us. Like, once they figure out we're American, they're like, "Oh, Obama," or "Oh, Biden." And then they'll like start saying if they speak well enough English, they'll start spewing out some political stuff. So it's interesting that in Spain, will that happen to us?
Apparently not, unless they're like, really hate Trump.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd be like, "Oh, I hate Trump," and be like, "Yeah, me too, dude." Yeah.
Dictatorship, on the transition to democracy, the recent problems in Catalonia, the problems in the Basque Country. No one is interested, and no one's interested in talking about modern day Spanish politics either. So we'll keep those issues to ourselves, shall we?
Kind of sucks, because I mean, if you were in Catalonia and you saw all these like symbols everywhere, let's say there's some movement for the independence and they have like stuff all over the place, you would be like, what is that? What's going on here? And then they'd be like, how dare you?
Or you go to, I'm sure it doesn't apply to a museum, but I was about to say you go to a museum and they're like,
yes. What is this thing about Franco here? What did you say?
respect the cultural heritage.
Now, another thing
So don't swim inside of a
ourselves,
fountain, this
shall we?
picture seemingly.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, nice.
Now, another thing that tourists do that annoy locals here is not respecting the local heritage sites or monuments. And this has become a problem in recent times, especially with so many people trying to take selfies of
Dang
these
selfies.
historical sites, treading all over them, climbing on top of them, and that is just not on. Virtually every city here in Spain is filled with important monuments and heritage sites, and they should not be trampled all over. So don't climb all over an important monument or statue just for one Instagram shot to impress your followers, because that will really annoy the people here.
Good tip.
Rubbish.
Now, another important thing to do to keep the locals on side is respect the environment. Now, it sounds
Another
like a
good tip.
no-brainer, but you would be surprised how many tourists don't respect the local environment here. Don't leave your rubbish lying around. Pick up after yourself, and remember to recycle your rubbish. There are plenty of recycling bins all over Spain, so put the rubbish in the correct container. And it's also important to talk about noise pollution as well. Yes, Spain can be a party country, especially on the islands, Ibiza, for example, and some of the coastal resorts, but locals like to sleep too. And there's nothing worse than having a noisy group of foreigners in the apartment next door that want to party all night. So keep the noise down, especially after 11 p.m. or 12 midnight, especially if you're staying in an Airbnb in an apartment block that also has locals living in it, because they
Makes
don't want to
sense.
have to
Yeah.
put up with your
Seems
partying
simple
or
enough.
your noise.
Except if you go to Japan at 8 p.m., if you're talking in a normal voice, like this type of voice, we're just talking, suddenly the person next to us just starts banging on the wall because we're speaking in our Airbnb.
It really sucks because like something like that is a rule that we always follow. We hate when people are super loud and like that type of stuff, and we love following it. But then when people try to like make it and flip it on us, even though we're just doing something at a very normal voice at a
Super
time.
extreme. That's like the most extreme way.
The sun just set,
8 p.m.
and we're just talking like this, and they're freaking out at us over that.
That's crazy. Spain's probably not that extreme.
No.
And that goes for in the street as well. If you've been out, you've had a good night, and you're on your way home, keep the noise level down, because remember, in the apartment blocks around you, people are trying to get some sleep.
I'm sure Americans talk quite loud in the streets.
And while we
Yes.
are on the topic of party,
Brits, I
remember that
guess.
street drinking here in Spain is illegal. Yes, you will see local people out and about having a drink in the street, maybe even having a party in the street, but as I said, it is not permitted by
Interesting.
law. And if you do it, you could get fined. So be careful when you're walking around cities here in Spain and you see people out and about selling you alcohol. Just remember that it's not legal to street drink in this country. Now, another thing that will annoy locals here, and a lot of people from North America especially fall into this trap, and it is thinking that Spain is similar
Really?
to Latin American countries,
People
and
think that?
that is not the case. Yes, Spain does share a language with Central and South American countries, but the cultures are very, very different. And it's the same when it comes to food. Spanish cuisine is a lot different to the cuisine you'll find in Central and South America, so keep that in mind as well. The food here is not spicy like it would be in Mexico, for example, and a lot of the ingredients used in Spanish cuisine are different to the ones you'll find in Central and South American cuisine. So remember, food here in Spain is more European than the food you'll find in other Spanish-speaking countries.
Almost as if they
Now,
are
another thing that will
European.
annoy locals here in Spain is standing on the wrong side of the escalator when you go up, and also when you come down. The etiquette here in Spain is that if you are not in a hurry, you just want a peaceful ride
right.
up the escalator, you stand on the right, and if you are in a hurry, you move on the left. So don't stand on the left side of the escalator because people are in a hurry. Watch this. Not in a hurry.
I thought no one was in a hurry in Spain. I thought it was
Yeah.
all about chilling.
On the right, keeping out of everyone's way. But if you are in a hurry, you take the left side and you work your way quickly down the escalator. And that's how it's done.
Wow. Churros are not a dessert.
Now, the
It's
next
a
thing I want to talk
breakfast?
about, and this is something that tourists get wrong all the time here in Spain, is when it comes to this humble thing here, the churro or the churro, as it's called here. And believe it or
Can't roll
not,
my R's, I
this
can't say
is
it.
not a dessert here in Spain.
Churro.
It's a breakfast snack or an afternoon tea snack or merienda, as they call it here. Around 5, 6, 7 p.m. people will eat these, and also, as I said, in the morning for breakfast. Never
Yum.
for dessert. So
if we do eat it for a dessert, will someone actually get upset, or will they just be like, oh, that's a tourist?
Probably a tourist. They probably wouldn't know we'd be eating it as a dessert because it'd be at a bakery or something like that, or a churro store, right? I assume they don't have them on the menu at the bottom being like dessert churros.
But if I walked in, I was like, hola, comer churro, please. Then I don't know if they'd think I'm a tourist. I mean, I'm speaking their language.
You could also say, it's my desserto, by the way.
Desserto.
you come from a country where these are served as a dessert. For example, in Australia, I have seen them on the dessert menu. Forget about it here in Spain. Breakfast or afternoons.
Guys, the one place I've eaten churros here in the Philippines is at Wendy's. It's a dessert at Wendy's here in the Philippines.
Hey, we got them at a street stall.
Yeah, that too.
As our dessert.
Snack only.
You just ate that straight up, didn't even dip it.
And while we are on the subject of eating, another thing that might...
Is it because like Mexican churros are so much like just filled with sugar and all that stuff?
Maybe.
Because like a lot of Mexican restaurants in the U.S. have churros and they're very desserty, like covered with sugar.
They'll
and
have sugar on top of it.
all that stuff. I mean, like look at this churro that he's
only.
eating here. Doesn't appear to have any sugar on it, so it's just like a fried bread.
And he'll like dip it in the coffee probably.
And while we are on the subject of eating, another thing that might annoy locals here is tourists eating at the wrong times of the day. I know where you come from.
We definitely
Most
do that.
likely you're having lunch at around 12 midday, 12:30 maximum, dinner 6, 6:30 p.m. Here in Spain, that is not the case. People have late lunches and late dinners. And in some cities here in Spain, they won't start serving lunch until 1:30 p.m. and they won't start serving dinner until 8:30 p.m. So forget about having an early meal. So keep it in mind that lunch and dinner times here in Spain happen later than what you are probably used to. So try to adapt to the local culture and norms as far as meal times are concerned, and that'll help you blend in. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them
It's
in the
all
section
about
below.
blending in. Do we want to blend in or do we want to stand out like beautiful tourist stars?
Yeah, we can be the yellow flower in a sea of purple flowers.
Yeah. That's a
I think that's
poetic quote right there. Yeah, Spain. I want to go there, even if some of you guys hate us because we're tourists. It's a beautiful place and delicious churros for breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people that are watching this video probably don't like us because of some of the things we said already.
You mean like El Deserto?
El Deserto, please.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Por favor, sorry.
Bye.
Adios.
Como estás?